There she is.
There I am.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good, good, good.
What's going on? I like your earrings.
Thank you. I have a big floral earring today. I was just saying to everybody on the chat that I'm like kind of trying to channel vacation vibes, spring, summer vibes. You know?
Totally. I love
spring
it.
And nobody even knows it over here where we have seasons, right?
I know. It's so true.
Who would know it, but we have seasons right now.
We do. It's actually a beautiful day today.
Is it where you are?
Yeah, where are you?
NYC.
Oh, so I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. Hi.
Did you think I was in? Hi.
I don't know. I didn't know if you were in LA or in Canada.
No, I'm in New Jersey. It's
good.
so beautiful here. Yeah.
It feels good that we're very close.
I know. I can almost walk to you.
Totally. Where I mean, I don't want to say where you are in New Jersey, but are you mid or are you far or are you?
I don't know Jersey that I have to admit, but I don't know that well. But I'm like 20 minutes out of the city.
Oh, you're very close to where.
So it's not so bad.
Yeah. Well, our office is downtown, and so New Jersey is actually very close to us. So if you just sort of left our office and walked a half a block, Canal Street would take you right to the Holland Tunnel, which is basically the way that you get to New Jersey.
So should we not do live and just meet up in person?
Yeah, let's just wave from across.
I know. Yeah.
Jenna, we have such good questions for you.
Okay.
First of all, how are you doing? What are you doing?
What am I doing?
My question to you is how do you start your day every day?
How do I start?
Is it sort of like a day in the life of a creative where?
What about that?
Oh my God, you love the bells and whistles and all the funny stuff.
I know. I'm like, it was Easter, so I might as well be Eastery.
We're getting a little echo.
Are we?
Well, we just did a second ago.
How about, were you before?
No.
Okay.
How are you starting your day? Is it consistent? Is it just, are you up all night working, or tell us about how you're starting your day?
Yeah, so I honestly every morning.
Rob.
Echo again?
No, I just said, hey, Rob Grimaldi.
Oh, hey, Rob Grimaldi. Do you know Rob?
I know him through you from your bio, so I figured we should give him a shout out.
I love Rob. Yeah, so I mean, basically I'm starting every morning just by having honestly an early coffee, and then I usually start having a phone call. Phone calls around 10 o'clock. I'll be honest, I'm sleeping in a little bit more these days.
Yeah, I mean, why not? That's fine.
Yeah.
No judgment.
Do you like the ears on our friend behind us?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
So funny. The last time Jenna and I, you guys are going to my podcast with Jenna, the Story and Rain Talks podcast with Jenna, will go live this coming Thursday. So
Thursday. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so Jenna will let you know, and I will let you know, and that will go live on Thursday. And so when we spoke 2 days ago, Jenna's whole setup was Kermit the Frog. And now, now we have funny vibes. Now it's funny vibes.
I have to celebrate Easter. I mean,
oh my gosh, that's right. Sorry,
I didn't really get to celebrate yesterday, to be honest. So I'm doing it with you today.
Okay, good. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
So anyway, so you were saying your schedule's a little.
Yeah, so it's a little bit here's the thing. I'm finding a lot of structure in this time too, but I mean, I would say the one thing is,
can you back up for a second?
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. How are you finding structure right now?
Well,
for a lot of people that are at home, maybe feeling the same thing.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. How are you finding structure?
I'm trying to make my own structure, to be honest, because I think it's so important for mental health, and just for me, because I'm such a workaholic, so I feel I have to make myself be okay, I'm getting up this time, and I'm gonna do these kind of tasks today. So I mean, honestly, I've been doing a lot of Zoom sessions every day, so that's been really good. I mean,
that'll give you some structure, right?
Exactly. Doing a lot of Zoom sessions, and I'm finding that, like, you know, I'm getting up. I mean, I'm probably doing my coffee. I have like a coffee every day at 10, and then
what do you put in your coffee?
That is a classic question, by the way. Whatever.
Listen, we at Story and Rain, we like the details. We like to know. We like the details. What is your coffee order of choice?
My coffee order of choice. Oh, why am I even thinking about it? It's so weird. It's like, I obviously know what my coffee is. Coffee Mate. It's like, we do the Keurig, the little thingies where they just like,
the pods.
The pods. And then just with like a Coffee Mate French vanilla.
Ooh, guys. I like that.
I love it. Or actually over the weekend, I tried the peppermint mocha one. It was,
what do you mean? Wait, a peppermint mocha
coffee mate. So good.
Oh, okay.
Bomb. To be honest.
Posted. Have you heard about Delgona Coffee?
No.
Okay. I would like our fashion editor Alana to chime in here in the show notes, and maybe even give everyone a link. So you know, like the latest craze, the latest like TikTok craze is like this coffee drink.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, we posted it on our site. It's like this whipped coffee with like, and you use like totally like instant coffee. It's this like delicious coffee drink called Delgona Coffee, modeled after this sort of famous French Korean candy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Have you tried it?
I haven't tried it. Alana made it the other day. I have not tried it. I don't have any instant coffee right now. Apparently you have to have instant coffee to do it.
Oh,
but I feel like if you're like a creamer, like a flavored creamer girl, you're gonna love this coffee.
No, it's like the highlight of my day. Honestly, like I go to bed and I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to get
like
up.
You and everybody, right?
Yes, no, I'm like legit, like I go to sleep and dream of my Coffee Mate in the morning. I love it so much. Like I mean, I'm really digging the peppermint mocha. I stick to the French vanilla, the hazelnut sometimes. The Bailey's one I tried, I'm not a fan, surprisingly.
Okay.
Have you had it before?
That sounds like it would be fun, right? No.
It's fun. I thought it would be better.
I
mean, I love Bailey's, but it wasn't that good. It was like too strong for me.
Wait, is there alcohol in like the Bailey's cream?
You're like, can I get some?
No. I'm just thinking, like, how do they make a Coffee Mate with Bailey's? What was strong about it?
It was very sweet. You know how like stevia tastes, like a very, very sweet.
Yeah, sort of like a very,
like it's almost like
concentrated flavor.
Yes, like it almost gives you like a headache after. Do you know what I mean? Like it's almost like fake sugar is really sweet. It tastes like that. So I don't love it, but
one of the things that you just said was that this time is giving you structure.
Yeah. So
I mean, you said that, obviously like everyone, is working from home. A lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us are working from home. Yeah. And things like Zoom meetings and, are giving people structure. But I thought that was really interesting, sort of what you said, is that as a creative person, that working this way and living this way is giving you structure. So do you feel in a way, sort of like when the scheduling is less stressful and, I don't know, more loose and maybe more up to you, do you find that you feel a little freer in your creativity when you're having these Zoom meetings and talking to people and collaborating? Does that make sense? Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
no, I totally get what you mean. I mean, honestly, I think that like for me, like it's not that I feel more structure in this time. I feel like you have to make structure. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, so if you wanted right now, you could just go and not do anything all day and watch Netflix. If you know what I mean? Like, especially in my business, because obviously I'm a musician and yes, I'm consulting and stuff like that, but you still have to rely on your own sort of scheduling. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't, like, obviously you're at home, so you're not checking into an office, or you're not, there's not scheduled meetings. So, but for me, I thrive off working. So I just I don't really ever have a social life anyway. So for me, it's really important to just like get up every day and have my calendar of events, even if it's things that I need to do. So it's like, hey, you know, like go through this catalog of music, send this out, do this, you know, call this person that I need to catch up with. Like every day will be that kind of thing. And then I'm doing like 3 sessions a week now, like Zoom sessions, which have been amazing, honestly.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
really
launch
cool.
into some questions, right?
Okay.
Like we have so many great ones from people, from our followers and your fans. Fewy Music said, what do you know now that you wish you knew when you started in the music business?
I mean, there's a lot of things that I wish I knew. I wish I knew that, you know, it's kind of a tough, you know what, honestly, it's a tough question now that I think of it, because if you knew a lot of these things, then I feel if I knew certain things, then I feel like I wouldn't have tried to do things the way I did it. So it's a tough thing. Like, do I wish that I knew that things were, you know, harder than they seem when you first try? You know what I mean?
I mean, I can attest to the fact that when you don't know too much, you can be very fearless, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
and the more you know, the more you ruminate over the pitfalls or the potential pitfalls, right? But
it's funny, my assistant is on here and he just said it's a male dominated industry. I mean, that is the thing. I mean, it is. Do I wish I knew that stuff? Yeah, for sure. And I kind of, you know, especially being in like high school and junior high, you sort of know that a little bit, that it's male dominated. Not as much as I do now, of course, and how hard it is to, you know, navigate and all those kind of things. But I think to your point, to sort of what I was trying to think about before answering is that if I knew all these things, I think that's when people become jaded.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Or fearful and unwilling to take risks, right?
Like, for instance, I'm from Calgary, and like coming from Calgary, there's like basically no music scene, and you know, I didn't know anybody in music. My parents weren't in music, so if I knew all that, why would have I moved? Why? I don't think that I would have moved, you know, to the US and just been like, I'm going to try a music career. Like, you know, I did 7 open mics a week. You know, I can't imagine that I would have done that if I.
What did your parents say to you when you moved to the United States, or said that you wanted to? Was it a big issue? Was it like a big?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean,
what were the things that they were saying?
I mean, they were always super supportive. That's the thing. Like my mom actually moved me when I first moved.
Yeah.
When I was like 18, she moved me. Like, I remember I had this like smart car, like it was like an Toyota Echo, which was as small as a smart car now. It was like tiny. And we put like the mattress in the back in a suitcase, and she drove with me from Calgary to Vancouver. So in that sense, yeah, they're always cautious parents, but super supportive, and always like, you know, sort of followed my lead, to be honest, which was nice to have parents that way. Because even when, you know, I was struggling, they tried their best to always help me out. But
what do you think the switch was from them?
What do you mean?
Know, being cautious about you and then saying, okay, we're going to support your dream. Like, when did all that change?
No. When I say cautious, I mean like, you know, they're cautious over my health and safety and things like that, so they want to make sure I'm okay, right? But they were always like full force forward, both feet in the water, like go for your dreams, you know. And I think like, for instance, right, my mom's a teacher, my dad's a professor, so I think naturally, you know, when I wanted to do a music career path, it was like a little nerve-wracking. So when I first came out of high school, I actually went to school for journalism broadcast.
Oh, you did? Like,
yeah.
Like us media people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, exactly. And like, the thing is that was the closest thing that I sort of had to like an entertainment career. Do you know what I mean? So in Calgary, you're like, okay, like, I mean, this feels like the best way to meet people. So I did that, not because they made me do it, but because I feel like the natural, not pressures, but just thinking like they would feel better about me having that as like a quote unquote backup plan. But when I did that, the first 6 months of the degree, I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is
Oh,
not,
really?
yeah, because like,
That's like me with my first job. I needed to get a job just to have a job and like make money and have a job. And I worked in this job for like 10 months and I was like, I literally cannot do this for another day. Like, I'm going to quit this crazy desk job. I'm going to become a waitress and go to fashion school. Like,
oh, really?
oh yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
That's so
Jenna,
funny. I mean,
Jenna, how a few music is also asking, how did you get your first songwriting opportunity with a big artist?
yeah, so actually, I know. So basically, I think that we talked about that a little bit in the podcast over the weekend. But basically, I had been signed to my record label, Island Def Jam, for like almost 7 years. And it was kind of funny because right after I left the label is when, this Noah Shabib, who I've known for years, since I was like 20, he goes by 40, the producer 40. We basically all sort of came up together in Toronto because when I was in Vancouver, I actually moved to Toronto later on when I was like 21 or so. And I had met him as soon as I moved to Toronto. And anyway, fast forward to my first opportunity was, he developed Drake. So Drake had blown up by the time I left my label, and OVO signed an artist Magic Jordan. So literally, I would think like 2 weeks after I got dropped, he called me and asked to help develop Magic Jordan. So it was great. It was great timing.
Yeah. And we're getting the question, how did Fear Alone and Supalonely come to life?
Well, Supalonely came to life because I met Benny the beginning of last year, and I actually met her over Skype, funny enough. And I just, she's such a, like, she has such an amazing personality. And it was like right away, I was like, oh my God. And her manager's so funny and cool. And coincidentally, we have the same lawyer. So that's how I first met her. And so we just, immediately got along. And when she came to LA, that was actually the first writing session that we wrote that song. So
wow,
it was pretty crazy, and it was one of those ones that was written in 20 minutes.
We talked about that. You
Yeah,
guys will hear more about that on our podcast.
And
Rory,
go ahead. I was going to say.
What were you going to say, Jenna?
So Fear of Being Alone, the Lennon Stella song. So I hosted a camp for her in Cabo, Mexico last year to write her album, which was honestly one of the most magical experiences ever.
Why?
Like, I mean, you know what? It was because all the best creative, most amazing unicorns, like spiritually connected people in one place writing music for Lennon's album was like, I mean, it was almost euphoric. It was just something that I think all of us will remember for the rest of our lives, to be honest. So, and Fear of Being Alone was written there. So, and Lennon's album actually comes out April 24th, which is so exciting. And I think
That's very soon.
Yeah, it's in 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
And I think, it was just really special for her because I think it was, time that you didn't have to like go and, get in your car and go do this or go do that. Or, for her, she's always on the road touring. So she could just focus on the art of writing. And it was all her favorite people under the same roof. And we basically rented out a hotel for a week, and it was just the people that we loved. And it was just, she was able to just create freely. And I think it was a pretty spiritual experience for her, and everyone will get to hear in her album because her album's incredible.
Cannot wait. Vincent is saying magic. That's magic. Rory is asking, this is a really good question actually. How much do looks and style matter as an artist?
I mean,
kind of a loaded question, but how much do looks and style matter?
I mean, they matter a lot. I mean, you know what it is? It's like,
or is it just like flavor?
It's flavor. It's fashion. Do you know what I mean? It's not like looks, right. Like you have to be like super symmetrical and the most,
right.
It's more like you have to, it's like, it's fashion. Art is fashion, right? It's like, I always say, and I'm preaching to the choir, but you could wear a garbage bag and make it fashion.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? So that's so beautiful. And I think,
I think it's like, there are people that have style and people that don't. And I think part of, we did touch on this on the podcast, which we're launching this week, just to remind you guys, is that there is this element of star quality, right? Like, or just
Yeah.
like an intangible quality that certain people have when they walk into a room. And besides the fact that a lot of people have talent for singing and performing, but I guess maybe style is part of that, right? Like,
well, I think style is
can't
part of
teach
art.
someone style.
Exactly, but I think style is art though. Like it's the same way that cooking is art. It's the same way that like to me art is art, right? And I think that you know the way that and yes, energy is a different thing which we spoke about in the podcast, but I think energetically somebody gives you something that feels special that immediately draws your attention. But most times to me style comes from somebody, like everyone's so unique and their style is unique to them, right? So again, it's like you can't definitively say, hey, if you wear this and this, it may be wrong on that person.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
As long as, to me, the most important thing is unique. Because following a trend doesn't make an artist to me. Like an artist means that you have an identity in something that people will be like, it's the same way that you're like, oh my God, I'm craving a hamburger. It's the same way that you'd be like, I'm craving Lennon Stella right now because it's like, I want to listen to her music because it makes me feel like a certain type of way. I'm craving Benny because, you know, she makes me feel a certain type of way.
That's right. Belinda asks, Belinda is asking, have you ever felt insecure about your looks?
Never. No, I'm just, can you imagine?
I don't know.
Never once in my life have I felt insecure. No, I feel insecure all the time, to be honest. Like we all do. I mean, I think we all do, but yeah, I mean, I actually struggled with an eating disorder when I was in high school because I was bullied. So I've been struggling with this body.
How did you come out of that?
To be honest, I came out of it because I love music so much and my passion for music and something to put my attention on rather than just, you know, controlling what I'm eating or how I look really diverted my attention into something more special and more meaningful and made me feel more full. You know what I mean? And I think that it's hard to do that. And honestly, sometimes I'm like, I can't believe that I did because it's definitely the kind of thing that requires a lot of therapy. And yeah, I've done that as well. But I think mostly music, honestly, as cheesy as it sounds, saved my life because I think paying attention to something that feels bigger than you is so much more valuable than paying attention to something that you'll never be able to truly control because it's just, you know, you'll never win that battle. You know, you can never be the best. You can be the best at you. And again, these things sound so cheesy, but it's so true, right? It's like you're constantly like, oh my God, how can I get this or get better at this and compare myself to.
Okay, Jimmy is asking, who is your dream collaborator?
Music is a form of therapy. Music is a form of therapy.
Yeah, 100%.
My dream collaborator. People ask me this a lot. I think, honestly, I don't know if I have a dream collaborator, but I'd love to write with Lady Gaga.
Have you ever met Lady Gaga?
I have. I've met her a couple times, and she's so sweet. I love her. Like she's just.
Was that really fun? Was she really nice?
Oh, she was. I mean, she's the best, and she's so creative, and so. I mean, she's such an artist. She's like the definition of an artist to me, you know. And I think.
Why do you say that?
Because she thinks.
We talked about this too. Big picture.
Look, my ears are standing up. Is that a sign?
Are you going to talk about big picture thinking?
No, I wasn't actually going to say that, though. I was going to say that, like, I think the way that she thinks is so, she thinks with her heart, and she doesn't, I can tell that it's not always like programmed to, oh, I need to do this because I feel like I mean, again, this is energy, you know, I've met her like twice. So,
where did you meet her? Let's talk about that.
At the studio. I was working with the country band called the Band Perry at the time. Mm-hmm. And she was writing with Red One, and we were in the same, like she was that week, we were just in and out of the studio and stuff. But I mean, I just like the way that like when artists truly think from like their gut rather than think of like, oh, I'm doing it because I feel like I have to because such and such reason. Like I you can tell when art comes from a place of real like an out of body sort of idea. You know what I mean? Where you just go with it and you're so like, oh my God, this is such a great idea, and you just put it out there. I think those make for the best ideas. I mean, there's always like crafting it so you make it perfect, but the best art always is like very instinctual.
We have a really cool question from Mari.
Okay.
What was your favorite song lyric when you were like 16?
Oh my God, that is.
Can you think of like, I mean, so specific, but can you think of a song that lit you up at that time?
The first thing that comes to mind is "Isn't It Ironic?" Don't you think?
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I love that song. It's just so.
Speaking of which, and then
that was my first concert too, by the way.
It was.
Alanis Morissette, yeah.
Charlotte asked you, who is your favorite Canadian artist?
Oh, my favorite Canadian artist? I mean, honestly, like I not even in a biased way, but I really think it's Drake. I think he's like.
I was wondering if you were going to say that.
I mean, and he's just such a genius lyrically. He's just on a whole nother level. There's a reason why he's been successful for over 10 years. And I remember the time when I remember back in the day when everyone's like, Drake's going to be bigger than Jay-Z and Kanye. And it was so weird to think like somebody in your peer group could be that big. So at the time I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know. Like, but I always knew that he was amazing. It's just so crazy how big he's become, you know? It's so cool.
Huge.
And he's such a great person too. So it makes it that much better. Icon
status. Chris asks, how did you first get connected with legendary Barry Weiss?
Oh, actually, no. So he was the head of my record label at Island Def Jam.
Right.
And so I met him. I actually showcased for him. Funny enough, I was like, it's so funny to think about because it was in 2012. I think it was 2012. Yeah, that I just like because L.A. Reid originally had signed me, and then Barry came later, and I sort of was like having to like re-showcase this sort of stay at the label kind of thing. And that was when I first met him. And he was always such a great guy. And when I ended up leaving the label, I reconnected with him like, I guess it would have been like 4 or 5 years later when he was starting to work with Cyrus, and he suggested that I write with her. And then, you know, it went really well, and the rest is history.
Awesome.
He's always so supportive though. Yeah.
So supportive, you said?
Oh my God. Like for males in this industry, speaking of like how it is male dominated, it's so hard to find like real male support system. Like he's been somebody that's like really been by my side, which is amazing, and like continues to be such an amazing support system for me. And he's such a legend, as who asked the question? Chris. Yeah. As Chris said, like, I think, you know, being that he, you know, signed Britney and Backstreet Boys and Chris Brown and all these things, like to think that he's, you know, that he's been such a great supportive element in my life, or a person in my life is like, I mean, I'll always kind of remember that, because especially helped me turn the page from like artist, songwriter to also being able to do executive stuff. So that's also something that I'll never forget, because it started.
You're right. He helped you turn that corner.
Exactly.
Yeah. Lee asks, what is your favorite thing about the music industry?
Somebody just said, wait, how you signed with a huge, oh, okay. I'll few music.
You can answer that now.
Oh, yeah.
How are you signed with a label?
A huge, so basically, funny enough, you're not going to believe this, but I met my manager on MySpace, and he brought me to LA. And I just stuck up a song that I wrote for my parents for Christmas one year, and I basically got signed to him through that song. And then he sent it to LA Reid, and then I flew and played it for LA, and he signed me. 20 times. Yeah.
What is your favorite thing about the music industry, Jenna? Do you have like a favorite?
Nothing. No. No, I'm kidding. My favorite thing about the music industry is the music, honestly.
What's the hardest thing about your job? Renee asked that question.
yeah, the hardest thing is just like navigating the politics. You know, it's being able to not let that get you down.
And what do you, Joni asked, what is the hardest obstacle that most artists face?
Being able to find a sound and to be able to have synergy with your label, or, you know, even the world, in terms of like believing something and doing it from an authentic place and being a true artist, and not diverting from that because you're trying to accomplish success on, like, you know, the typical form, putting it out. Of course you want to have your world or your music heard by the world, right, and have it be heard by the masses and all these things. But I think the biggest challenge is to be able to identify with all these things and to be able to have success doing it. Because I think a lot, like, as you're going down the road, if you feel like, oh, I'm doing this music and I love it and it seems like it's so right and I feel everything's right, but like, you know, why isn't it connecting, or why doesn't my label, you know, get me? And then another thing is patience, because sometimes you could be doing the right thing and you could be doing it right for 10 years. Look at Lana Del Rey, look at Frank Ocean. Like, you know, they were 3 different names before they became popular in their current artist names, right? So
a very good point.
So I think that you have to exercise patience, and that's a really hard thing to do, honestly, for anybody.
Yeah. Whitney, this is another very specific question. Whitney wants to know if you are able to share, or can you share, Noah Cyrus's favorite songs?
Oh, I don't even know what her favorite songs are now. Like, her favorite songs now?
Or I don't know what she's ever mentioned to you, I think, is probably what they're trying to figure out.
What, like her favorite songs of her own? Or
no, like when you're in the studio, yeah.
Wait.
Has she ever mentioned to you?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, there's a Sinead O'Connor song that she loves. What's the one? What's the big? Hold on.
Nothing Compares to You, the remake of The Prince, or? No. Oh, you're like cutting out a little bit. Let's wait for Jenna to get back. Oh, okay. That's
oh, did you say that?
What?
Did you say that?
I did.
Oh, wait, I didn't think you said that. You said that the first time when you guessed?
I did.
Oh.
I mean, okay, that's what she's like. That's what she's, I think, most known for. But that's a Prince remake.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Page one management. What was the process of writing Supalonely?
Oh, wait, somebody asked me, who are some of your influences? I just want to answer this really quickly.
Yeah.
I love, my favorite artist of all time is Donnie Hathaway. Like, I mean, he's
you didn't say that when we spoke.
I didn't?
No.
Ah! Oh my God.
I love that. That's interesting.
Donnie Hathaway and Billie Holiday. Like, Donnie Hathaway's voice is literally like, it makes me like sick how much I love it. Like, no, but meaning in a good way. Like, he just does something to my body. Like, I just feel like I feel it so intensely. Like, there's very few voices that I feel like when you hear him sing instantly, it's like I want to cry. Like, I really feel his pain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I just love him. I can't tell you how much I love him.
No, I get it. Corinne wants to know, just to switch gears for a second, what do you do during your downtime?
Francesco. Oh my God, I'm just seeing Francesco on here. I love him.
Hi, Francesco. What do you do?
My downtime?
Yeah.
I don't have any downtime. I'm the worst. I literally am a worst. That's what I'm saying. I'm like sitting here on quarantine being like, oh my God, I need structure. I need to be productive. Like, honestly, like, the only thing that I like to do when I'm absolutely exhausted and I need to just like take a break is like Netflix, like normal stuff. Like, I'm not really like a big hobby person. I mean, I do Pilates.
We talked about this the other day. What are you watching on Netflix? Are you actively watching something on Netflix right now?
I mean, I was watching the show You. I don't think I told you that, but you.
Oh, you know, the star of Netflix You is our cover star.
I saw that. So did you
Yeah,
guys, did you interview her
She's
then,
so
right?
great. I feel like you guys would love each other. It's such a good show. Did you see season 2?
Oh, she's not
Because
in season 2, by the way.
takes such a turn, right?
Oh, but she's not in season 2.
There are flashbacks to her.
Flashbacks, yeah.
I know, but yeah,
she's amazing.
It takes a very big turn.
Like a huge, I was like,
yeah.
I mean, it is crazy. I mean, I was actually shocked, but it doesn't take the turn until like halfway through.
Yeah.
And the girl, Jenna, she's a good name, but no, she's such a cute, oh my God, she's so cute, right?
She's a huge part of the season, right?
Anyway, she's adorable.
We love Netflix You. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Molly is asking how you handle criticism of your work.
Oh, cry myself to sleep. Just kidding.
Like all of us, right? I mean, that's such a,
yeah. I mean, but for real, I mean, these days, I mean, it's always been different. Like, I think as an artist, like when I was like criticism, like when I was doing my own music was a lot different because you take it so much more personal when it's your music and you're the one singing. Not that what I'm writing for other artists is not mine, but it's not as much mine as obviously my own song, right, that I'm singing on. So I think when it came to that stuff, that was hard. I mean, you know, I took it to heart in the point that like sometimes it can break your confidence, and I think that you just have to sort of, or that what I would do is just try to take it in a way that if somebody's paying you constructive criticism, especially coming from somebody that you trust, it must mean that they care and they're invested, or they must believe in you or be telling you that just so you can improve, right? So for me, it would just be like, okay, let's try it. Even though it may sting a little bit, like let's try it. So if there was a song that you think is your absolute favorite song you've ever written and somebody's like, it's trash, it would be like, okay, I would like to, like, especially if I trust them, I would be like, and take a second and like really internalize, maybe I'm not thinking about this right. And then if I think they're wrong, then I would just be like, screw it. I'm not going to even listen to you guys because I think it's great, which is another thing to say about having artistic, like, you know, just being able to stand for something, because there's always going to be somebody that tells you you suck and they're going to be wrong.
It's great advice.
You know?
It's really good advice. Evelyn is asking, what makes you most excited to get out of bed every day?
Coffee Mate.
Oh my God. Coffee Mate Creamers.
Coffee Mate Creamers.
Endorsed by the Jenna Andrews.
I know, right? I should. Yeah. Dude, actually, that's a good point.
You're shouting them out.
I'm shouting them out a lot.
You're shouting them out. Oh, you do?
No, I should.
What makes you, what gives you the most motivation that makes you excited to get out of bed every day?
I would say that like just being able to do what I love. I love what I do, and it never gets boring. I mean, it may not always...
Did you ever think you would get here? I mean, think about in the beginning, right? Isn't it so thrilling to be where you are right now?
Yeah, it's so weird to think about that, because like, you know, my mom always says that to me too. She's like, did you ever think that? And then once you're there, you're always to the point of like, again, never feeling satisfied and having to be happy with yourself, but also being critical of yourself and always like making sure that you don't become complacent and have the challenges. Because I think that when you start, an artist will never feel completely satisfied. So even now that I'm here, I'm like, oh, I want to be there. So it's
I think we also touched on this in the podcast the other day, is that it's easy to forget the journey.
Exactly. So
it's really all about the journey.
It's all about the journey, and like the journey is what makes it so, because otherwise it's like, think about it, it's like you're like, oh, how did you know, what was the first song, and how did you meet the first artist? And it's like you wouldn't have a story without a journey.
100%.
You know what I mean? So I'm grateful for it, even the bad and the good. And it's like, even though I try to check myself and be like, I should feel grateful, it doesn't mean that I don't have days where I'm like, oh, I don't feel, good about myself. That's human. And I allow myself to feel that way. And I think it continues to drive me.
George, this is I cannot wait to hear this answer from you. George
Okay.
says, what is the last thing that made you laugh?
The last thing that made me laugh?
Yeah.
These bunny ears? No.
I was gonna say, I was like, I feel like you're always infusing some sort of humor into everything you do.
No,
is that right?
Well, am I infusing humor? I guess so, yeah. I mean, it depends what mood I'm in. I'm like one of those people that are like either like super happy or super sad. Like I'm nowhere in between. But the thing that made me laugh, I know. I sent a text over the weekend to the wrong person and it was so wild. I said like,
was it a crazy one? Was it a bad one? Or was
it wasn't a bad, it was like a medium one, but it wasn't like
a medium one.
And it was like to like a person I'm close to. So when I sent it, it wasn't as incriminating because I at least was like, oh, thank God I sent it to you. But like when I said it, the context of how she read it as if it was to her, she was like, what? Like it was just like one of those really weird moments. I was literally crying laughing. We both were.
I feel that. I'm glad that it was to her and not to anybody else. That was crazy.
By the way, is your thing frozen? I feel like my thing is frozen.
You feel like you're frozen right now?
Yeah, well, not frozen, but like the thing. Oh, okay.
Guys, does anyone feel like you're frozen? I'm not seeing frozen.
Oh, you're not? Okay, good.
We have some quarantine questions for you.
Okay.
Janae's asking, how do you work on music during quarantine? Like technically speaking, I would think.
Well, I'm doing like a lot of Zoom sessions, to be honest. Like I said before, it's been amazing. Like I'm just like staying super busy. In fact, like I've been doing more sessions and honestly been writing amazing songs. Like been really productive and really cool. I mean, it's surprisingly inspiring in a way because you're focusing on a lyric and you're really, you know, spending time perfecting it because you don't have somewhere to be, like, you know. So it's definitely an interesting way to create, but it's definitely been good.
Lauren is asking, like, what specifically are you working on right now? Can you share? Maybe you can't share.
Oh, like specifically? Well, actually, there's an artist. No, I can share. I mean, there's an artist on Arista that I'm working with that I'm super excited about. Her name's Sophia Mesa, and I've been working a lot with her. So we've been doing a ton of sessions together. She's an extremely talented artist, and I also just love her as a person. Mostly, like all the artists that I work with, I have to love as a human because, you know, when you take on a project the way that I do, I love developing artists and being a part of the whole journey. So
can you talk about that? Not to cut you off, but like, when and how do you get this opportunity to say, I'm connecting with this person, all systems go, or I can't do this and I am not connecting here? Like, when does that part of the process happen? And what does that look like?
Yeah. So basically, for me, it's really early on, honestly, because I feel like back to what we were saying before, like I'm such an energetic person. Like mostly when I meet somebody, it's like this natural instant, like, oh my God, I love you. We're going to be connected for the rest of our lives. You know, like it's funny. It's happened with like it's true. Like now that I'm thinking about like all these females I work with, Lennon, instantly the first day I met her, I was like, you're going to be my sister, like forever, for the rest of my life.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Can you pinpoint what it was exactly?
Yeah, it was just spirits, like spirit animals. Just like
energy that you can't put your finger on.
Yeah, it was just like a friendship that, you know, when you meet somebody and you're just like, oh my gosh, you can't stop talking about things you have in common, and like you have so much fun with them. Oh, and there's an instant comfort too. Like there's something where like you don't even need to spend, like, literally immediately you can meet the person and be like, oh, I could just like be in my pajamas and hang out with you and watch like TV all day or movies. Like it's just like something that like there's just like, oh, there's that sigh of like, wow. And just intuitively knowing that they're a good person and just feeling like they have a good heart and or all those kind of qualities. I always think that for the most part, the projects that I am normally attracted to and end up like working with the most are always people that become like lifelong friends or
people that you truly connect with.
Yeah. Like
we're getting a question about what is the writing process with Emily Warren?
Oh, well, Emily, I'm trying to think. I have I even written? Well, I actually haven't even written with Emily before. That's so fun. No, I actually haven't even written. I was trying to remember if I have because, but no, we haven't. So she writes a lot with Lennon. And you know,
So you're not really involved with Emily?
No. So,
okay,
well,
I think that's what our follower is asking.
Well, no, I'm involved. I mean, she's one of my I love Emily. She's a friend of mine and she's the best. But I introduced Emily to Lennon on the A&R side, and I just thought that they would connect, like, so I just knew that would be like an instant connection, to the point of they wrote La Di Da the first day that they ever wrote together.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was Lennon. I mean, that was a huge song for Lennon, so.
Yeah. All right, you.
Love you, girl.
Have
Bye.
a good week. Bye.
You too. Bye.